Now, technology has transformed the way we see the world and has arguably made it a smaller place, with people able to connect instantly to others thousands of miles away. But with everything increasingly accessible, perhaps it's also easier to crowd out vulnerable cultures. British photographer Jimmy Nelson has tried to document vanishing tribal cultures around the world in a major new project called Before They Pass Away. And Jimmy Nelson joins me now to talk through some of the images. And Jimmy, we have, for example, this really striking portrait. Where's this to begin with?
This is in northwestern Mongolia on the border of Kazakhstan in the Altai Mountains, and they're of the Kazakhs.
And they're very aesthetically powerful. You know, they really make you stop and stare.
It's very deliberate. It's all premeditated. They're made on a traditional plate camera. I spent many hours, in some cases days and weeks, organising these pictures because I want to have I want to communicate a message of beauty and power and iconography, because I actually believe they have something to teach us in their authenticity.
And as we look at the next picture, I wanted to ask you how long you spend with people. You need to get their trust, and you are setting up this aesthetic composition.
An enormous amount of time, because as I explained, it's made on a traditional plate camera which uses film, which is very non-light sensitive, so it requires enormously long shutter speeds. So you actually have to have developed a relationship with them. So you actually have to form a communication that goes far beyond language. So you can't sort of come in with a digital camera and put on a long lens and put your finger on the button. There is a whole relationship that's been developed prior to actually making these pictures.
And as we look at men and women, I mean, this is an incredible image, but you're looking at cultures that are vulnerable or vanishing. In a way, you're creating historic images.
Yeah, historic is debatable. What I'm trying to use is I'm trying to make beautiful images of very beautiful people, make them icons to create a discussion as they evolve into the developed world, which they will, to make us aware of how special they are and how authentic they are, and remind us of where we came from. And it's a little bit melodramatic, but maybe they are, I regard them as emotionally far wealthier than we are. Although we have all the material wealth, they have a cultural and emotional wealth. And I think there's a new balance that we should achieve between the two parts of the world.
By documenting them, though, by drawing our attention to them, in a way you might draw more tourism, more people might want to follow in your footsteps.
That is inevitable. A lot of the places will be very difficult and for a long period of time to access, but these people are going to develop anyway. It also has a lot to do with the internet age. We were never, no matter how remote I was, further than 2 days away from the internet. So the internet is getting there. It's incredible. And in a very short period of time, many of these people already had telephones. And many of them will get smartphones, so they will be confronted by the developed world, and they will want it, and they are right to have it, and they're right to come to it. But we should form a discussion with them as to how special they are, and perhaps they already have a wealth which we've lost, and that they should be encouraged to take it with them whilst they develop.
And hence these very formal portraits. When you look at this sequence of pictures, you have posed everybody, you have composed
very deliberate. It was inspired by an icon of mine, Edward Sheriff Curtis, an American photographer. This is in Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
Edward Sheriff Curtis, a very famous American photographer who photographed the last American Indians, those very famous, iconic sepia images. Whilst he did it, he was also trying to wake Americans up to the fact that these people, in their dignity, are very beautiful and very powerful, but they died as a culture. Through his inspiration, I'd very much like to try on an international scale do the same, but maybe try and avoid the loss of this authenticity whilst it develops into the developed world.
And as you see these sort of group portraits, and I think we have more to show as well, you talk about them getting smartphones, for example, and yet the kind of materials that go into our smartphones are often mined from inaccessible parts of the world. Our consumer demands encroach on their lands.
More often than not, coming from places like this in Papua New Guinea, the mining there is extraordinary at the moment. And all these people are it's like finding needles in a haystack of authentic culture. These are the very, very, very last people. I mean, an image like this inspires me. For me, it reminds me of Avatar, you know, in 2009, that world-famous, extraordinary film which I saw with my kids three times. But that was a digital fantasy. But one of the reasons why we were all so attracted to it was all a harking back to nature, a harking back to a balance.
And you obviously feel that your kids might not be able to grow up and explore for themselves.
Well, they're not necessarily. I'm encouraging my children to go here, but it's trying to inspire us that these people look like avatars. People in their pure balance and beauty still live in these extraordinary environments.
Well, Jimmy Nelson, thank you very much for talking us through some of these images which really glow from the screen.
Thank you for
being in with us now.